Everybody, this is the Carl Weathers Predator Weathers Report featuring the Action Jackson AccuPredator Doppler Weather Radar Forecast and Cardi B featuring Bernie memes. How you doing? I hear that's not a motorcycle in the background, that's my stomach growling. No, it's not. I just had a gigantic plate of mofongo right before I came on the air. Mofongo. Who wants to have mofongo today? And by mofongo, I mean mofungo. You know? We're just hanging out here. Hey, we're excited. It's Tuesday. Tuesday can't lose day. This kind of reminds me of the time when I was in Predator. They sent us in there. They sent us into a meat grinder. I said, that's a real nasty habit you got there. That was when Jesse Ventura spit tobacco juice on my foot. I say juice. It's actually saliva. These are all very appetizing things, aren't they? Why did you get to the point? What's the point? I'm glad you asked, Cardi B. Now, this is the Carl Weathers Predator Weather Report featuring Action Jackson Bracket Predator Doppler Radar Forecast with Cardi B. That's a Doppler effect. That's the compression and rarefactions of air molecules. Hey, escape from post. Hey, Cap Blue Chart, we're going back retro style with the Instagram feed on account of Aristotle Full Throttle's computer is just cranked beyond belief. And he's going to set up a multi-streaming channel so he can go to every single platform that's possible on the internet. What kind of art you working on, Cat Blue Chart? What are you working on something today? Are you painting paintings? You painting pretty pictures? How about you, Escape from Post? Have you been animating? Have you been doing some graphics? Hi, Ismail Kouia. How you doing? Anyway, get back to the story. Oh yeah, I was talking about being in Predator. You know I was in Predator? Predator yielded 2 American governors in the United States of America. 2 governors. Jesse Ventura. Maybe we should have Jesse Ventura. Let me see if I can do an impression of Jesse Ventura. I'm Jesse Ventura. We could totally have Jesse Ventura on this show now. Now listen, I was the governor of Minnesota. I was also in Predator. This is just my impression. I was also in the movie Predator with the governor of California. I live in Mexico now, and we're not getting conspiratorial, are we? Maybe. Who's out there? Today we're going to talk about the stock market. You know how I said in that movie, Passenger 57, always bet on black? You weren't in that movie. Listen, Cardi B, it was the 90s. And I could have been in that movie. That was Wesley Snipes. Well, listen, the point is, you should always bet on black. It's Black History Month. You should bet on February. They should change Black History Month. Listen, we got a campaign to change Black History Month to June or July. July, right in the middle of the summer, we can party, have a good time. You know, make it like a summer thing. People try to push Black History Month off into the winter. You know, black people are from generally a warmer climate. Why it got to be in the winter? What's your point? The point is, Cardi B, I'm glad you asked. Hey, is this Will? Welcome. The volume is pretty low. Oh, I see why. Hey, thank you for. It helps when you turn the mic towards your mouth. How's that? Is that better? Oh, hang on. There are no technical difficulties today. Today is going to be a perfect Tuesday can't lose day. Who's out there? Say hello. Hey, WO88. Welcome to the Aristotle Full Throttle program. Yeah, welcome. I would like to say that this map is about 50% accurate 90% of the time. You sound like the Cookie Monster. It turns out there's a little tiny microphone. Aristotle Full Throttle will show you in a minute. There's a tiny little microphone that's plugged into the phone. It was a gift. It was a free gift. At VidCon 2 years ago, they gave him a microphone. They said, here you go. You create things. Here's a microphone that is very, very low gain. You got to get real up on it. Real low. That's why they were giving them away. Uh-oh. Here's what I'm going to do with IG. I'm going to go off of Wi-Fi, so we're not on the same network. Poor connection. Pause due to poor connection. Reconnecting. There we go. Now we're just on LTE. So now we're not sharing the same network. Look at this. Problem solving in real time on the Aristotle Full Throttle program. Who's ready to talk about game stunk? Who's ready to talk about taking down the wealthy, eating the rich, as it were? Hedge fund managers. If I had a left and a right for those guys, I'd knock them out. I do have a left and a right. Right here. And left here. Hey, how's the monitoring going? I like that the first 5 minutes of the Aristotle Full Throttle program is troubleshooting. And then we get into it. We might even play some games today. Ah, this looks like a big, strong microphone, doesn't it? How's the sound? How's my sound? You ever bite rocks? No. Sounds disgusting. But, you know what sounds disgusting to me? Wiener Schnitzel. Nah, Wiener Schnitzel is wonderful. You should try it. It's good. It's made of Wiener and Schnitzel. I tend to agree with Arnold on this one. I, in fact, am a man who is a pig who may end up in a Wiener Schnitzel one day. But as it were today, I shall just make a documentary. Have you ever had Wiener Schnitzel, Bernie? I would like to say that in Vermont, being the senator from Vermont, I've had many Wiener Schnitzels in my lifetime. It is wonderful. It's delicious. Hello, Gender Fierce. You are fierce. You are strong. Please follow Gender Fierce on Twitch and all the things, and I will give out a free Wiener Schnitzel to anyone who wants one. I would like... That sounds like a socialist program to me. Yes. Everyone in America will get a free Wiener Schnitzel. One per person in America. See that? Also, there'll be a taco truck on every corner. Hey guys, what's up? I'm Aristotle Full Throttle. This is the Aristotle Full Throttle Show. It's aptly named on account of me being the guy. I'm the guy. I'm the guy with the fro. I'm the bro with the fro. And I'm glad you're here. It's the happiest part of my day. Yesterday being the one exception. I had a little bit of a meltdown on the air, which I hope was hilarious. I hope nobody felt bad. I just was trying to make it funny, but it was not fun. I was not feeling happy. But sometimes you got a day. Sometimes you have a day and you're not feeling too happy. Things are working today, so that's good. I've got a coffee mug. Check this out. This mug will never break. This mug, it's got like a soft cork feel on the outside, and it's got metal on the inside. It will never break. Cut to me driving over it with my car by accident. So, things are good. Things are good. Things are happy. I'm happy to see you guys. It's always great to be here. You know, that's what you gotta realize. It's always great to be here. If you're ever having a bad day, we all get a bad day once in a while. If you're ever having a bad day, just say to yourself, oh wait, I'm here. Also, here's a good thing to remember. You don't have to do anything you don't want to do. Except for pay your taxes. But that's a whole different story. You don't have to do anything you don't want to do. If someone says, hey, can you wash my car? And you don't want to? Screw it. Don't wash it. I come from the office space mentality, you know what I mean?
on the fact that the Office Space movie. Hold on a second. Oh, interesting. The movie Office Space, the guy was like, I just don't want to go to work. I don't want to go to work anymore. What's going to happen? Let's see what happens. I don't encourage that you do that if you like your job. But if you don't like your job, you don't have to do it. That's what I always say to these people. There's a coffee shop in Los Angeles called Intelligentsia, and it's notoriously rude. I find it funny. When I go there, I get a little snarky back to them because they get super snarky. It's like, I would just like a coffee, please. And they're like, they're like that. They have this attitude about the coffee. So I've literally said to them, I'm like, hey, if you don't like your job, you can quit. I've said that when they're nasty. Because they get nasty for no reason, and it's like part of the vibe. So sometimes I'll go like this too. I'll say, oh, I get it. You're being ironic because this is Silver Lake and you work in hospitality. It's ironic. I get it. It's funny. So I do that to them just to be, I just get back at them. Cheers. Bring your coffee. Hey, Tim. I make fun of the people at Intelligentsia Coffee Shop. I also make fun of the fact that when you go into Intelligentsia, 100% of the computer products, it's uncanny. Uncanny in the true sense of the word uncanny, meaning unsettling. Every single computer product in that shop is an Apple product. It's very funny. I find it very funny. How you doing, Tim? Taking pictures? Living life? Are you in New York? Long Island? Are you on Long Island? That's always the great razor. If you know someone's from Long Island, they say, I live on Long Island. Everyone else is like, did you live in Long Island? I'm like, it hits the ear funny when you grow up on Long Island. But I get what people are saying. Well, cheers to that. I miss Long Island. It's been over a year since I've been there because, I don't know why. Obvious reasons, maybe. So anyway, I'm just happy that I have this unbreakable mug. And Merrick, there you go. Not too far. Not too far from our old house, Prospect Place. I probably remember how to play that song. Here, I'll be right back. Talk to the rock biter. I might have an impromptu rendition of the old theme song for our old house.
I like rock and roll. I'm the classic rock biter.
Yeah, wait, hold on a second while he gets his guitar. Hold on. Hey, oh, ah, ooh, ee, ooh, ah. So we're just having fun today. We're talking about stonks, game stonk, and the whole situation going there. I think I totally remember it. It's muscle memory. I have not played this song in, I'm going to say over 10 years, but it's actually twice as long. It might be. My guitar's out of tune. That's okay. This is the best part of any rock show is tuning. There it is. One more time. One more time for the kids. There it was. Perfect. Perfectly executed. You've never heard a song played more perfecter. I also speak more perfecter English than... Anyway, glad to be here. Glad you're here, Tim. Glad you guys are all here. It's always a fun discussion, lively discussion. Remember, I'm giving away a PS5 if you like to play games. So remember to subscribe on twitch.tv/AristotleFullThrottle. There you could get all this mishigas and hijinks and whatnot and tomfoolery and silliness. And you could hang out there. We do this 5 days a week. He screen recorded to send to Chris. That's hilarious. It was a perfect rendition. I'm sure he'll be happy. Our mutual roommate, Chris B. Let's just say his nickname was Crispy Chicken. I heard later on in life. I actually ran into some people that knew mutual people who know Chris, and they told me that was his nickname they gave him. Years later. This is years later. I thought that was amazing. So I texted him and I was like, hey, what's up, Crispy Chicken? Yo, take what you can get in Qatar. Wow. Dang. He's hanging out in Qatar? Playing guitar in Qatar? That sounds like something. Sounds fun. You probably missed the comments. Is this Will? Yes, Will. Glad you're here. So here's the controversy. Rich people, generally hedge fund managers and stuff like that, they like to be rich, you know. I don't blame them. But when you're rich and you got lots of money and then they're like, here's lots of money, go make some money on this money and make lots more money for yourself and for us, it's kind of like, come on, man, share some of that pie. And so the internets and the Reddits and all these folks got together, which I think is hilarious. I think it's super fun. It's all good, Tim. You can hang out for as long or as little as you like. It's good to see you. I'm glad you're here, man. Hey, Wesley Plotke, welcome. Remember, access to the Discord is through a subscription on twitch.tv/Aristotle Full Throttle. Also, you could go to AristotleFullThrottle.com and subscribe there. I suggest that. But also, you can... There's so many things I got to cover every show because the information needs to be out there. Patreon. If you pledge at least $1 a month on Patreon, you can get access to the Discord. Also, you get t-shirts, all kinds of things. It's just a fun time here. We like to geek out and talk about stuff, and particularly, hey, it's my mom's birthday, everybody. Hello, Mom. Happy birthday. Happy birthday to my moms. Let's sing happy birthday to my mom. Ready? Here we go. Let me find a good rendition so that it sounds like there's more than one person here. My mom is 10 years younger than I am. Isn't that incredible? How did that work out? It's also Groundhog Day. It's an interesting, weird part of American lore, I guess, or where they say if the groundhog looks at its shadow and sees its shadow, then it knows to... That doesn't make no sense. Here we go. Me. Happy birthday to you. This is my mom talking about. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Mama Throttle. Happy birthday to you. This is a birthday song. It's got 14 verses, though. Wait for it. There's more verses. Happy birthday to you. How old are you now? Happy birthday to Mom. Happy, how old are you? For she's a jolly good fellow. Now I can do this. I can actually do this on the air without getting sued by Warner Brothers, which is great. Birthday song is now part of public domain. So to Mom, I give that to you. A potential copyright strike. Thanks, Mom. You know, I don't know what I'd do without you. Literally, there's no telling. Thanks, Mom, for stopping by and spending part of your birthday here on the Aristotle Full Throttle Show, making fun of the hedge fund managers that are going insolvent and crying. Sad billionaires, very sad billionaires out there, which is hilarious, by the way. I don't know, there's some kind of schadenfreude about the fact that there are these huge hedge funds that were basically, and feel free to chime in on this conversation if you're on Discord. The voice channel is open so we can chat one-on-one. But I think it's hilarious that these wealthy people who like eat up all the, they take up all the cake, they eat up all the pie. Those folks were making all the money. The top 1% of the top 1% were making 100% of all the cake. Yes. And Mom, it's your birthday, you can have 100% of your birthday cake. So they basically, these companies were like, oh look, GameStop, it's a store where you go into the store, it's like Blockbuster Video, where you go in and you buy a game and then you leave, or a game system and you leave. And since we've got Amazon and since we've got all these different ways to just download games directly, there's no real point to a store like GameStop. So its stock was declining, its value as a company was decreasing, and then these people were like, the hedge funds, there's also a way to make money on stocks that are losing their value, which is they figured it out. Remember the housing crisis of 2008? Very similar to situation where they were like, oh, these people can't afford houses, let's make sure that all of these people buy houses, and then we can get rich, and they can go homeless eventually because they can't afford it. So basically, this is what the hedge fund managers are doing again with companies like GameStop who are losing perceived value. And I find it hilarious because some people on the internet were like, oh, so this is what they do. They bet against the company. They're like, this company is going to go insolvent, so let me borrow a bunch of shares, and then now I technically have borrowed them and will have to owe the full cost of these shares later. So if the shares are like $1, they make up the difference, and they make money off of those transactions. But if they buy up thousands of shares and then the shares go up to $400 now, they have to buy those shares now because they've borrowed them, which is hilarious. Because now they're like losing all of their money and going insolvent as companies, and you're just like, oh, you know what? There's some poetic justice about that. There's something that feels so good about you and me. And also, you and I can go on apps like free trading apps and make money. You and I, folks, us regular old folks, we could just go on these apps and start making money by like buying the stock, waiting for it to peak, and then selling it off at like a high peak, which is hilarious. This is all very funny to me. And then you can make lots and lots of money doing this. And I call this outsider trading, because basically Wall Street folks, they all do this together anyway. They all hang out together and they do this anyway. They all go in behind closed doors and kind of they jibber jabber to one another and they chat about it, and then they make all the money but now, because of the internet, people can just publicly say, hey, everybody who's got a trading app, let's all go on there and buy this stock and make it go through the roof, and then we'll all sort of spread the wealth throughout regular folks instead of the top 1% taking all the money, which is where we're at. But here's the rub. Robinhood, they was robbing us folks in the hood. It's not the Robinhood. The Robinhood lore is that Robinhood would steal from the rich and give to the poor, which is like the whole idea of Robinhood. I actually got in on Robinhood on the ground floor when Robinhood, before it became before it became available to the public. I signed up on the waiting list to join Robinhood because a friend of mine, Adam Lesager, he's a director. He's also the True Car guy. You guys know the True Car guy? That's Adam. So Adam did a commercial for that. He did a commercial for a lot of different things. He did a commercial for Airbnb, Uber and Lyft. He did the commercials for. You'll recognize Adam if you see him. Look him up. And he got in on it because he did a commercial for it. And I was like, oh, you know what? I'm going to sign up on the waiting list for that. And then I was on Robinhood like the day it came out. And it's been a pretty decent app. But the problem is now they're in the pockets of these hedge fund managers now. And they're limiting the trades. They're limiting people's abilities to trade these stocks and make money off of them, which is just unconscionable. And they're gonna get hit with a big old class action suit pretty soon. The SEC, the Security Exchange Commission, they are going to also slap him on the wrist with something. So look forward to that $7 check from the last from the class action lawsuit if you are a part of Robinhood. Henny Youngman. So I'll jump in the voice channel. Yes, Will, are you there?
Trying to find my headphones because I can't hear very well.
Okay, no worries. So Will is going to chime in on some of this thoughts because, you know, gaming.
Yes.
First of all, gaming too as a culture. I love that they picked GameStop because as a culture, I think gaming is way more powerful currently than entertainment. It's like the most powerful part of the entertainment industry is gaming, I think, right now. It's the biggest. It's the juggernaut. And I like that people find GameStop to be a beloved thing. It's kind of like Blockbuster Video going out of business. I think there's one more Blockbuster Video that has been turned into an Airbnb. So you can like literally stay in a Blockbuster Video as an Airbnb overnight. Google it. It's cool. So what's up? What are your thoughts on this, Will? Hold on. Let me know when you're ready. I'm gonna turn you up. Turn up the volume. Pump up the volume with Christian Slater. This is what I feel like sometimes. I feel like this is my own version of Pump Up the Volume. Why not? I enjoy the fact that I gotta turn that off. Hold on a second. I enjoy the fact, turn that off, that all of these things are accessible to us now. There's a more of a level playing field going on in the entertainment industry and the stock market, frankly, that these things are accessible. Hold on, I'll wait till Will's mic is connected. Oh, I'm getting static, Will. I gotta turn off the speaker. So the stock market and stuff like this makes the entertainment industry a level playing field because, you know, once you get in there with a lot of people, this is what I find frustrating. Like, there are some actors out there who are just picked every time. They'll just be like, oh, let's just get this one person over and over again. And now that there is more of an even playing field with making TV series, with streaming platforms, Netflix, HBO, now Amazon Prime, creating their own original content, everybody can now have a voice on a TV show. And there's not just one person who takes the lion's share of the market, of the viewing, of the ratings, as it were. I think that now there are way more avenues for other people to share their voice. And that's a good thing. It's a positive thing. More competition. And more varied voices. Are you there, Will? Hello? I don't see your name lighting up. If you guys want to chime in on the conversation, the Discord voice channel is open. Me and Grogu just hanging out. Will, your mic is... It sounds like a crumpling paper bag. It sounds like a Doritos bag with Doritos inside, and someone's hitting it with a mallet. That's what it sounds like. You know what it sounds like? It sounds like someone...
It sounds like I'm chewing on obsidian. There's crushed glass in my mouth. It sounds like a glass menagerie inside of a blender.
What else does it sound like?
It sounds like pieces of plastic that Michael Flatley and the Lord of the Dance are dancing on and breaking and destroying. It sounds like aluminum cans that are being crushed.
Grogu still looking poggers.
Yeah. Grogu, man. What about me, Wesley? I'm pretty pog. Check out my glasses, man.
Your glasses are pretty pog. Pretty pog. Yeah. I know. what POG means. But does it mean anything to me? I understand why you POG, but it is something I could never do. I understand. It is something I could never POG.
Oh my god. The show is just completely ridiculous and off the rails. I cannot stand the show. I mean, I thought it would be funny if I watched every single episode of this show, and maybe there would be one funny thing that I saw, but not yet. I'm waiting. I'm waiting for something funny to happen. Listen. You are from a socialist country, Canada? Yeah, that's right. There's one joke per person in Canada, just like there is on the Aristotle Throttle Show. All right, that sounds completely idiotic. Thanks.
Ron Pertee, I want your opera house. Well, Ron, if you bet on Dogecoin, you'll make at least $13. We were just talking about the ridiculousness of the stock market and all that stuff, and how like there's just a group of elites that control the wealth, and it's true. I mean, we're watching it in real time. We're watching Robinhood go, "Hey guys, sorry, y'all can't be trading. You can't trade GameStop. You can't trade AMC." I actually owned AMC stock last summer because I thought this is always a good. This is the rule of thumb for investing if you're on like some of these free investment apps. Buy the things that you like. Buy the things you want to see more of. The reason why these hedge fund managers buy GameStop is because they're cynical and they want to see it fail. So they're hoping it fails. They're not going, you know what, GameStop is a really good prospectus. There's a really good 2-year plan. I really like what the CEO of GameStop is doing, and I think they're going to bring a lot to culture. No. They're like, oh man, that's going down. Let's make money off it. So the trick is, in my opinion, the best way to do it, the rule of thumb, you bet on the things you like. If you're using something daily, like say you have a Corksicle cup, full disclosure, I'm not sponsored by Corksicle. But if you have something like this, you really like it, you're like, oh, I like this, and they're a public company, why not buy some stock in it if you like what they're doing? It is Robin Hood in reverse. I totally agree with you, Ron Pertee. It's ridiculous. That's why I put Dave Chappelle and Carrie Elwes on the cover of today's thumbnail, from Robin Hood Men in Tights, which I'm still waiting for the sequel. Come on, Mel Brooks. You're 95 years old. Why don't you give us a sequel? Get out there. You ain't dead yet. No, I'm just kidding. Mel Brooks is a national treasure. Yeah, the sheriff of Nottingham, the sheriff of Nothingham sandwich. You know, you gotta fill an hour. You just say everything that's on your mind. Hey! It's been a while since... Oh, wait. None of these work anymore. By my calculations, I will have made $11 billion off of Dogecoin by the end of today. Beep boop bop beep boop. That's the TI 85. Hold on. Why doesn't it work? Why is it that you bet on Dogecoin? Is it because you like dogs? Is it because dogs are adorable? Is it because dogs are cute and fluffy? Is it something that you like about dogs? I once... Don't you dare say that you ate a dog. What, are you crazy? No one would eat a dog. That sounds insane. Why would anyone eat a dog? Good point. Why would anyone eat a cow for that matter? Can't argue with you there. Chickens too. Chickens are adorable. Anyway. What you... Oh, wrong button. What, you don't like chickens? Do chickens scare you? Did you grow up on a farm? Were you scared by chickens when you were young? No, they're just really dumb. But they do have personalities. Chickenalities, as it were. Sure. Anyway. Stonks. Sometimes you got juice in the barrel, as they say. Sometimes you got some fuel in the tank. And sometimes you don't. Sometimes you're on fire. Sometimes you're just smoldering. Yeah, so what do you guys think about this whole situation? Also, what are your favorite memories about GameStop? You ever go into a GameStop? I mean, who hasn't? I remember I went to a GameStop when I was a kid and before GameStop came out, there were like some really cool... There was this one place on Long Island. You say on Long Island if you're from Long Island. You don't say in Long Island. There was this one place I went as a kid, and it was like my mom had to drive us. We were kids. It was far. I think it was in like Huntington or somewhere. And it was this game store, and it was like the one game store that you had to drive real far, and it was the first time I saw a Nintendo 64. And I was like, oh, that's not real. And then the guy at the store was like, oh, no, that's real. Because they had the Nintendo 64 inside and it was like a demo and you could play it. And I was like, how is that even Mario? But he was like, it's a me. And I was like, all right, I believe you. Something about the way he said it. It's a me. I was like, yeah, sure, that's Mario. All right. Doodoo does the voice for Mario, still does the voice of Mario, which is great. Mario. Sorry, Mario. I don't know, I'm from Long Island. We say Mario. I can't help it. You worked on the Funko Land before GameStop came in and bought it. You worked at a Funko Land. Oh yeah, Funko Land. I remember that place. Good golly. Where did you get your games? Rented games from Blockbuster, actually. Blockbuster Video rented games for a while. Then I had GameFly for a while. GameFly was actually pretty good. And don't tell nobody, but I had a modded Xbox where I could rip the games to the hard drive inside the Xbox and then just fly the game back to GameFly. And then play the game all day. So if you ever did that, that's how I know you got some gaming cred. Cheers, Wesley Plotke. KB Toys was the go-to. Yes, KB Toys. They went insolvent also, but KB Toy Store, that brings back memories. They had that like wooden soldier guy, I think. The South Shore Mall, that's the one I went to. Then it turned into the Westfield Mall. But games, yeah. I remember there was a Toys R Us that before they went insolvent. You know, I'm noticing a trend here. Jeff Bezos. I don't know how he says it. I heard a funny joke today. It was hilarious. Someone said Jeff Bezos is retiring so he could dedicate more time to defeating Superman. It's true. But now we get everything just through Amazon. So I encourage, tread lightly with Amazon. Try to find your local stores. Try to find some smaller boutique companies online if you can. A friend of mine, every Christmas when she asks for gifts, she gives them specific websites to buy them through. She's like, I know you can get this on Amazon, but try to support your local business. It's really important because everything's just going to be Amazon one day. Everything. Brought to you by Carl's Jr. So Ron Perty, you had full access to all of the games. Now, Ron Perty, you worked at Funko Land. Could you play the games while you were at work? Because that sounds like an ideal job. Because I remember the dude at this one store that we had to drive like 30 minutes to go to rent a game. And then we'd rent it for a week because it was like, we're not coming back here for another week. It's 30 minutes away. The guy at the store was just playing games all day. They also had a Neo Geo. Let's just talk about some video games. There was Neo Geo, and the cool thing about Neo Geo was that it was also the exact same software inside the upright arcade, the box. So if you bought a Neo Geo, you could play the exact arcade game that you would play where you put a quarter in to play each play. And that's where I first saw Tekken. What was that again? Oh. Here on Tatooine, we don't have any games. You have 0% of the games in the galaxy far, far away. No, we don't have any games. But I do have this mandolin. You're a Mandalorian playing a mandolin. That's correct. Anyway, baby Bernie. Hey, isn't this Bernie meme like a week old already? Listen, I'm already 117 years old. I think I could go for at least 2 more weeks as a meme. I'm already having nostalgia for this meme. This meme is so old. Memes generally last. They have a half-life of 36 hours. And it's been 2 weeks. Yeah. I think this meme should... Hey, Bernie. Wait, hold on a second. Is that Asagi? Go. It's Asagi. It's Asaki tuna. No, not at all. That's not at all my name. It's Asaki. Uh-oh. Hey, who wants to dance? Let's dance, everyone. It's time to dance. Who wants to dance? No one? Okay. And I'll just be here with my snowflakes. What is it about dancing that you like? Get out of here, Hannibal. You're creeping me out. I know. That's my job, really. You're doing good. You're doing great. Robocoptopus. Robocoptopus. Please. Wait, there's the button. Where's his button? I lost Robocoptopus's button. Hold on a second. Hang on, guys. He's got no more buttons. Oh, here we go. Please put down the jokes. You're not. Sometimes you're funny, sometimes you're not. And this time you're definitely not. Definitely not. I tend to agree with Robocoptopus. I mean, he seems to be right most of the time. He's pretty rational about this. Anyway, Ollie, if you're out there, Will, are you there? Oh wait, hey Will, sorry, turn the thing back on. Will, are you there?
Can you hear me? Check, 1, 2, check.
Yes, you're very, very loud. So maybe bring the mic a little bit away from. Yeah.
I'm wearing a headset. I'm just going to have to attenuate my volume organically.
Fair enough.
Is that better?
That sounds good. Sorry, I turned off the speaker and I didn't realize I was trying to kill time here with bad jokes.
That's what we kind of figured out.
Yeah.
Let me see.
So how's it going? So we were just talking about the whole Robin Hood situation with GameStop and AMC and all of the fun things that we can now organize to actively work against the powers that be.
Yeah, I was going to throw a Molotov cocktail on the conversation.
Yep.
And really open it wide. I lowered my input volume so I could talk in my normal voice and not go all NPR. Is that okay?
That's perfect.
All right.
That sounds
okay.
Good.
So here is my thought process.
Yes.
We think of what Robinhood is doing is gaming the system, but the entire system is a game.
Yes.
Because the markets have no value if people don't invest. Otherwise, the companies are only worth what they actually produce in sales and revenue.
Right.
Their net profits. They get extraneous profits from the market because it then says, okay, this entity is valuable. Please make it more valuable for us so then we can use that money to invest to become more rich.
Yep. Expand, and develop new ideas. And
right,
generate more value.
But that in and of itself is an illusion because I'm not gonna go QAnon on you. Don't worry about that. But it may sound like it for a second. Don't freak out.
Listen, I was just drinking a fresh cup of baby's blood right before we got on the air, so.
But the thing is, the initial principle of monetary value is the exchange of goods and services. Money's just, it's a surrogate for the actual work that people do. That's all it's ever been meant to be. And we assess different values to it. So the whole idea that we have a secondary system to add more value to goods and services that aren't inherently there is a con. The entire principle of the market, although it's a game, it's a gamble where you can make more money, it in and of itself is a Ponzi scheme.
Yes.
There's no inherent value to anything in that market other than what it costs to get that item when you actually use it. The entire concept of intellectual property to a certain degree is a good hustle at best.
I mean, and it's also the idea that kind of strikes me about this whole thing is that these folks with all the money get more money to make more money with money. And like, that's literally...
And then they convince us to buy in.
Yeah. Yeah. Which, that's why I think it's really important to find actual value in your everyday life, the things that you enjoy using, things that you enjoy doing, and not be cynical like these hedge fund managers and just bet against, to bet against companies and hoping they fail. Being like, hey, I like this company. They're a small public situation. I'm going to buy in. I'm going to buy some of this company and help support something that I actually practically use. And things that are also, from my standpoint, good for the planet, good for the earth, you know?
Right.
So that's where I stand. And that's a really interesting point that you make, that it's all just an illusion, which, you know, I look at the whole market itself as that episode of Black Mirror with Bryce Dallas Howard, where everybody's got like a score above their head, and I literally could not finish watching that episode because it gave me too much anxiety. I was like, oh my god, this is actual reality. Everybody has like a charisma score.
Well, that's a Nickelback video.
Uh-oh. You brought up the Nickelback word. Oh no.
It is. There's a Nickelback video from like 2003, and that's the same premise.
Look at this episode of Black Mirror. I don't know.
Well, I mean, Black Mirror is a reflection. That's kind of what a photograph is.
That's exactly it, yeah. I like that Black Mirror is sort of evocative of the idea of a broken phone screen, or like, because we're all constantly looking at screens. But once the screen goes off, you see yourself in it because it's a Black Mirror.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to get more cynical because there's another thing about the market that is totally subversive and sinister.
What's that?
The whole principle of the market is it's supposed to be in line with supply and demand, just basic economics as, you know, it was thought of during the Enlightenment, like that if people need something, they will buy it, its value increases, its scarcity increases. The less there is, the more valuable something is, right? And if something has utility, then its value will increase because people will need that utility. And yet we're told to invest in things that we do need because they're not getting the revenue they need from just doing business. And that's all because the market itself is already, and we use this term a lot, but it's rigged. Yeah. If you're in a situation where you're established and you have power, you have economic capital, you can decide who prospers and who doesn't. You can encroach on anyone with an innovative idea that does serve the betterment of mankind and say, well, I'm just going to hold on to this technology until I'm ready to deploy it because it interferes with my bottom line. So the very principles the market is supposed to be based on as far as economics, it subverts actively. So even in that sense, and it's not the nature of the market, it does it, but we've alienated ourselves from the idea that the things that serve us were created by us. So the market isn't a thing, it's just human behaviors that have been codified that actively take place, but it's still a human thing. So what's happening right now is probably the most empowering thing economically that's happened in my lifetime, at least.
It's a great equalizer.
What they're doing.
Go ahead.
but they're stopping it. And that's the thing that I think is cynical. The fact that
Yes.
we're witnessing how you shutter a movement
Yes.
with the stroke of a pen.
That's exactly how they maintain that separation, that disparity socially. And I was just talking to Oliver, who was also on the line, about this earlier. That
Hello.
Hey Ollie, I was saying earlier how literally my personal worldview is generally through the lens of behavioral science. Like I look at mass psychology. And for instance, like the siege on the Capitol, people are like, well, I don't know how that could have happened. It's like, well, you've got a guy at the top telling everybody that their country has been stolen, their election has been stolen. What do you think will happen according to human behavior? Because humans are the ones doing the things, like the stock market. The stock market is literally a measure. It's like taking the temperature or taking the current anxiety levels of millions of people at once, and sort of compounding that and seeing which direction things go, instead of necessarily looking at just purely the outcomes, or purely the value is obviously perceived, but looking at what the outcomes are. Like if you're a robot, you can algorithmically say this plus this equals that. But if you're a human, you're like, oh no, I'm worried about this, or maybe this won't work, or I don't know about that. So there's emotion that gets in the way. And the stock market it's basically dictated by emotion.
Mm-hmm.
Thoughts?
I mean, every crisis we've had economically, outside of the ones that you consider orchestrated, are responses to people's anxiety about some event, or at least that's what we're made to believe. Like, there's a war starts, sell. Terrorist attacks, sell. Winter storm front coming through, a nor'easter, sell, and billions are lost in minutes.
Yeah, and it's all because of major events that happen that people emotionally respond to, and whether or not.
Yeah, it gets really easy to slip into that QAnon frame of thought when you start talking about it, because then people will start saying, well, because the media has such influence on people's perceptions and emotions, and since most media companies are publicly traded,
Yeah.
is there not a relationship there?
Yeah,
So,
and they, it is part of the parlance when describing the stock market as panic. They're like, people are panicking. That's an emotional response. And they sell off their stock. And
yeah, panic sell-off. That's right.
But
it's right there in our faces.
So Ollie, I want to get to you too. What's you you could do anything. Sorry.
I could clap my hands 7 times in a row.
That's pretty good. That's 14
I'm gonna
more times than
demonstrate
me.
that. That's 14 hands.
They measure horses in hands, their height in hands.
I'm fluent in hands. Take that for what it's worth.
What are your thoughts on this whole just the whole game stunk thing?
I got a lot of thoughts about what's being discussed. I love this discussion.
What do you think about what Will also
Well, my
offered?
first thought was speaking about the emotional state of the stock market and how it's an emotional reflection of us, a Black Mirror. Why is it that the bi-directional animals are both kind of fierce animals? There's a bear and a bull. I feel like those are both big, strong animals. Why can't it be like you pick one of those and you make it a bull, say, and then the bad market is like the toad or the worm market or something. And I'm better able to visualize like what's good and what's bad. Sometimes I gotta think they both start with the letter B. I know bears sleep, but they're also pretty ferocious and they can rip your head off. And a bull can kill you.
They will destroy you. Of course, I made a documentary called Grizzly Man, where there's a bear who ate the subject.
Have you ever seen that movie?
I have seen
What is
this
that?
movie.
That's quite a movie. Oh, of course you've seen it.
I've listened to the audio tape of the man being eaten by a grizzly bear. The grizzly man was eaten by a grizzly bear. the subject of the documentary, consumed by his obsession. All right. Go ahead.
Oh, you know, that's fair. That's fair. That's a good point, Werner. I would say, yeah. The other thing about it is what Will was saying about, you know, historically, stock markets are based on the transfer of goods and services, and I think, you know, historically, if you turn back time, if you could turn back time and go to a market in the Stone Age, you would find rocks and food and stuff, but not much. Maybe some dead bodies and leprosy.
Lots of dead bodies, and I'm sure that might made right for the longest time in human society.
Well, the point is there was market back then, but there wasn't as many things, and now we have a lot of things, but also, like, fundamentally the economy of the United States has certainly shifted away from like raw materials and more to a service-based industry, at least in the last like 50 to 70 years.
Do you know why there's
and I was thinking, go ahead.
Hold that thought. This is just a really interesting thing. The reason why gold is the standard, or gold is used, is because of its properties. It's because it's a very stable element, and that it will not decay like something a couple spots over on the periodic table. Because it's so stable, say like I am a farmer and my crops come up into spring and your crops come up in the fall. We can't trade crop per crop. So I will give you X amount of gold that can be weighed and will likely weigh exactly the same 6 months from now in exchange for goods and services. And then you could give me that gold back as like a placeholder for the crops that I'll give you the next season. So that was actually why gold was kind of chosen as the standard. Also, it's shiny and pretty.
It's shiny and pretty, but I see what you're saying. Like, that's you're talking like decay of the material. I thought you were talking about radioactive decay, which I guess is similar in nature. But
I'm literally talking about
like
the decay of the weight. So the atomic weight will remain pretty consistent because it's so stable. So there are other things that will decay and turn into another element, and they'll weigh less because of the decay. It's actually part of it.
Aristotle.
Yeah.
When I sold you these crops in the spring, you gave me this uranium-238, but unfortunately for you, three of the electrons have flown the coop. And in exchange for your fall crops, I'm going to give you this thing. You can't really do much with it, but if you put it in a bomb, it might blow up.
Yeah, I like uranium-238. Spicy, man. That's one of my favorite rocks to bite, because I'm a rock biter. Uranium-238 and gold. I put a little gold in my uranium. You ever have... Is uranium from Uranus?
That's a real question.
Oh, yeah, it's actually from Uranus.
So you were going to say...
One of the coldest planets in the solar system.
What were you saying about... So you were about to... I interrupted you. I interrupted this program.
I don't do a Mr. Freeze as well as you do. I'm sorry.
There's no good Mr. Freeze on this show. There's no good impressions. It's all bad.
There's only...
Yeah.
There's only...
Yeah, there's only terrible impressions. This is part of the charm. So
I don't know. I lost my train of thought there, but I mean, I think I got my train of thought back. It's back in station. The idea that like we're going, U.S. economy is shifting away from goods and leaning more to services, raw materials, or just things being built. We don't build as much stuff here as we used to. As companies become more globified or international. And I do think that, like, I think a lot of times in terms of like an idealized future state, similar to like, good old Expanse, but like the idea that there's like some form of universal basic income, there is like people are less economically anxious, like in the actual traditional sense, not the I actually mean racism sense. And because of that, there's more sort of like free space in the zeitgeist to pursue pursue endeavors, and that it leads into more services and fewer goods. And I wonder, like, in a society like that, you would still have a marketplace.
Right.
It would be things where there's grayer lines about like intellectual property, like, do I own this or do you own this, rather than, like pieces of gold, which is easier to measure and count. And in order for that system to work, there needs to be a sense of trust, and it's hard to build that kind of trust when the kind of chicanery that goes around that like went down last week as well is there. That's why like it is the job of government to provide that sense of trust between through regulation or through laws. Provide the sense of trust between the people like in charge of the market and people who want to shop. I do think that it's possible for like for positive change to come from this. Perhaps not right away, but I mean, you got a good shot with Biden as president, and like Warren and Bernie holding, higher ranks in the finance side.
Right. I am 100%
so there's potential for good movement there, especially with this as a seminal event kicking it off. The other thing is it reminds me of like a online Occupy Wall Street kind of energy.
Yeah, but it's a little bit more organized than that was. I was disappointed in the the herding cats.
Oh, that totally flopped.
Yeah.
I will say this is the last thing, and then I'll shut up for a while. Haha. I don't do that. But I do mean this. There was a good AMA on the Wall Street Bets subreddit today with Mark Cuban, who, if give or take, I know he's a bit of a controversial figure. Like, this is not an endorsement of Mark Cuban and all of his self, but the exchange was really good there, and he definitely knows what he's talking about when it comes to business and investing. So his perspective was really good, and I encourage everyone to read it. He was really optimistic and bullish. That's the right animal.
Yeah. On
this, even though this squeeze didn't work out and people got their lunch eaten. The idea that part of what failed was part of it was greed, but also we basically almost had it, except if they'd done it, his argument was that if you did it through, instead of Robinhood, if you did it through a broker with more money, which you should do next time you want to pull into these.
Yeah.
Part of the problem was that Robinhood froze sales while the price was being driven down, so no one could buy any dips.
Yes.
And the reason they did that was because they had to cover their deposits, because so many people bought in that they had to cover the eventuality if everyone called at the same time, and they didn't have that cash on hand, so they had to scramble to get a loan of $5 billion to be able to cover themselves. So because they're new and their business model wasn't prepared for this. So if it had been done through a Fidelity or TD Ameritrade or Schwab or something, or I don't know who has the highest market cap or whatever, but it actually might have succeeded more than it did.
Yeah, I thought
that was interesting. There's a lot of nuggets like that in the AMA, and I'll leave it at that. It's easy to find. You just Google it, Mark Cuban, Wall Street Bets.
And it was, it was calamitous. It was just it was silly, but it's disappointing that there is this, like Will was saying, this kind of this illusion that it's all working. But in reality, it's just not that. It's just not so. And there are powers that be that will throttle, as it were, the situation, no matter what. But I would like Bernie to say something. I'm 100% for the regulation of Wall Street. We've got Jen the Fierce on the line here as well. Jen, your thoughts on the matter?
I don't have any thoughts. I'm just listening.
that was it. Jen, thank you for your listening, for your ears. We appreciate your thoughts of our thoughts on the matter. Of course, the show, the admin, Jen the Fierce. Follow her on Twitch. Follow her on YouTube. This is a really interesting discussion because this platform itself, the ability to live stream. I made a joke earlier that Pump Up the Volume with Christian Slater. I loved that movie as a kid, or at least I loved the idea. The movie's not that great, but the idea that the dude had his own radio show in his basement is cool. The fact that he could do that, barring any FCC regulation or whatever, technically you cannot produce a radio signal that is not regulated by the FCC. Strong, really strong one anyway. But the idea that we can do this, we can actually hang out and talk about these ideas and not just get one source, say like Fox News, where they just control the output, they control the message. There are more avenues for this. And there was something, even just going back to, say, the Arab Spring, that those revolutions happened, those revolts happened through social media. These people were able to organize, and arguably, Parler. Any thoughts on Parler, guys? Parler is a situation kind of like that, but for, I think, more nefarious reasons. But that's, my perspective.
Do you really want my thoughts on that?
Yes, Captain Q. What?
Oh, I'm not Q, but I'm just saying when I get going, it starts to sound like I am.
You work for Q.
Are you curious?
he's quite.
No, not at all. I'm more like a character from I'm Gonna Get You Sucker or something. I'm like the militant black guy who believes all the conspiracies, but doesn't really want to affiliate with them.
That movie is classic.
It might be
Having known you for 10 minutes, I can absolutely see that.
So yeah, that's pretty much me. But so I have from my college days a lot of conservative friends, like art conservative friends, and it's been very strange to hear them rally against censorship on social media, in particular Facebook, at the same time that a lot of my very, very far left-leaning friends are making the same claims and the same complaints about the opposite bias. Like, no one is just saying that Facebook is censoring everybody. They're saying Facebook is censoring my ideological viewpoint.
Right.
And it's not consistent to make that argument when someone who is as far left as you can get is getting the same impression as someone on the far right. And this is like religious conservative right. This isn't like libertarian, no regulation right. Because after a while, you get so libertarian, you might as well just be liberal. But no, this
Right.
is
Or
these
anarchist.
are the polls here. This is the wedge issue abortion voters situation going on. So hearing that, the flee to Parler, as I understood it when it initially happened, was mostly conservatives looking for somewhere to go to share these viewpoints and not to be censored because their stuff got fact checked and they didn't believe that the fact check was accurate. But upon further review, initially the first wave of people who moved to Parler were more liberal. And they were just looking for something that was more secure as far as not being connected with these international trillion-dollar companies and being highly regulated where their data was being sold and parsed out as a commodity. So, but that wave of people who moved to Parler, I think, was like 2-3 years ago when it was initially a startup. And then the bent towards a conservative move is a more recent development out of Trumpism, from what I understand, in the whole Q movement.
Right.
So it hit home for me today because I was going through I don't use Messenger. I only use it through the browser at this point. It's been that way for years. I just don't like having it open and having access to all the different data sources on my phone or whatever.
I literally
But I was going through
my thought on downloading Messenger. I didn't download Messenger for a full year because I was like, why Facebook want to have 2 Facebooks on my phone so that they can send me alerts to look at more ads. But go ahead.
Right. Oh, but yeah, just the number of people I knew over the years who, like, I would talk conspiracy theories with that had deactivated their Facebook accounts, and I hadn't even noticed because I just stopped hearing from them. Like, and I'm looking and I would see the icon, the silhouette that replaces your true icon. And then I would check the messages to try and figure out who the heck it was I was talking to. And,
Right.
And 9 times out of 10, it was somebody I was talking politics with who had some preconceived notion of what my politics were. And I can see why in certain extents, basically because they know me through music primarily. So I'm a liberal because I'm a musician or whatever. But, and we would be talking about whatever that particular hot button political issue was, and they were to the right of me as they thought it. And it was like consistently, I was like, okay, these must be the people who went to Parler.
Right.
It's like I just put 2 and 2 together, and it's like, well, duh. And I didn't even think about it. They just disappeared because, I mean, after the election, there are a bunch of people who are just not going to want to go on Facebook, even if they don't close their account. But, like, that kind of made me think about it again today, and then you just brought it up.
Well, there's the bigger problem is, like, people want to it's a lot less cognitive dissonance to hear the exact thoughts that you might be feeling and read them instead of seeing conflicting facts that conflict with someone's own. This is just in general. I'm talking about like the siloing on Facebook where people are just in one bin or another, and Facebook's like, how do we sell more ad space? We get people to open the app. How do we get people to open the app? We show them what they want to see. So we algorithmically figure that out and put ads in front of their eyes. And this is a weird feedback loop that has been created. And that's why we're in the situation we're in. I believe I believe the primary reason, besides, I guess, the talk about Trump being groomed for years and years and years by Putin to be an asset. But, you know, if we're going to talk about anti-Q, what's the anti-Q situation? But I think we're in this.
I thought when you said feedback loop, you meant like the audio got messed up, and I was holding my breath there for a few seconds.
No, yeah, we'll just put this on a feedback loop, infinite feedback loop. But, which, by the way, that reminds me, somebody made in Minecraft, I think, a forever clock. So basically, there are a series of an order of operations that this person built that, like, once something trips one other thing, it takes a year for that to trip, and then it takes 10 years for the next one to trip. And so apparently, as long as Minecraft exists, this clock will be running. But anyway, I was just talking about the siloing situation on Facebook, on how Mark Zuckerberg is just like, we don't have any ethics. We don't care about for the longest time.
I mean, it started as a dating site, so I mean, the shallowness of it is in the name.
Yes.
So, as far as, I mean, siloing, I get, isn't that just a reflection of the cafeteria table situation we all went through when we were kids?
Exactly.
So it's human behavior in a nutshell, and we're getting it in a digital microcosm. Trump, though, and I guess, what did we say, anti-Trumpism? I've got something for you, because you mentioned the Putin grooming thing, which those two words together just something that sounds weird. Very weird. There's an article.
A shelter of rescue dogs. It's called Putin grooming.
Look at this
This
hair.
dog has very funny hair. It just blow in the wind. We make him your president.
Yeah.
До свидания.
We do the best we can with his hair.
See, I imagine them feeding the dogs lots of beans, so Putin has a double meaning.
Oh, yes. He's Putin.
It's like a colon cleanse.
Super
Sorry.
colon blow. Yeah.
Oh, the Rick.
From Mother Russia.
Yeah, this is hold on.
That's
There we
not
go.
how that works. That's not how any of that works.
Yes.
Yeah, is it blinking 12? Is it blinking 12? Okay, it says 12:02 because you plugged it in 2 minutes ago.
I pressed the clock button. Now what? What do I do? Now do I type in all the numbers? So
All right,
guys,
take the coax cable and take it from the back of the television to the second, but not the one that says output, the one that says input.
exactly.
Oh, my life is flashing before my eyes.
No fear, Lion
So-
Kitty. I turned off the sound alerts because apparently when I get a sound alert from the embedded code that I put in OBS, it just destroys the sound and I have to unplug the audio and plug it back in. But we're back.
So I was weaving around to ask you if I had ever shared with you an article. It's basically a blog called Citizen Trump. This guy is laying out a argument for evidence supporting the idea that Donald Trump has been a confidential informant for the FBI for the majority of his life, from his real estate dealings and the circles he ran in New York and New Jersey, and in Las Vegas, and how that played into his ascendancy financially. that basically he just ratted out his competitors until he was at the top of the food chain. And that position as a confidential informant is why we couldn't get him to testify, and why so much of any reports on his potential misdeeds and the people who work with him have been so heavily redacted, because he is working for the U.S. government in that capacity. Not that he has like a patriotic fervor for ratting these people out, but no, it's mutually advantageous for him that he's compromised to the point where he's been an asset for our government.
Yeah.
And that plays into part of what's been going on with him this whole time, and why there's no real rush to really go after him punitively, and he had no impetus to try and preemptively protect himself or his family, because they're already taken care of.
And he's such a useful idiot, Trump is, anyway, because he just serves his own ego, and people like Putin were like, oh, this guy just only cares about who likes him or doesn't like him. I'm going to give him some money. I'm going to praise him, or whatever it is that is going on, and he'll just be in the palm of my hand. And that's what we witnessed. And there's a really cool documentary on Netflix right now. Ricky Elliott, we're just talking about the game stonks. So if you want to chime in, Ricky, the voice channel is open. It's open discussion. But there's a really interesting spycraft type of documentary on Netflix right now, which is it could be better. They could delve a little bit deeper into each one of these sort of spy situations. But you just look at the actual spying that has gone on over the last 100 years that is incredible and proven. You know, they're talking about it, like KGB people and CIA folks are discussing what they did in order to spy on the Russians, or the Russians to spy on Americans. And then you fast forward, or in this case rewind, to basically the first week that Trump was in office, and he had those Russian dudes in the Oval Office with nobody else in the room. And you watch this documentary going like, oh my God. Like, that is probably the dumbest possible thing you could do on account of... but now that Trump is the ex-president, and is still, by the way, still entitled to the CIA daily briefing.
There's no way they're giving him that.
I hope not. There's no chance he cares.
There's no chance.
There's no chance.
Chance.
There's no chance he cares to read it, and he didn't read it for the last 4 years. But the fact that
there's no chance. There's no chance.
The fact that he's entitled to it. I mean, I'm sure the CIA is like, no, you're a matter of national security. Like this, you.
Yeah, they may have given it to him because enough people were sycophantic and like he's the president, so we do it. But there's no way now that they're still doing it.
I just hope that's true, and I hope the stuff that they did share with him the last couple of years, knowing that he is a leaky bucket, that it's just not enough.
That's why respectfully, I don't think there's any way that he was working for the feds. He was just out. He's always out for himself. If he's useful idiot for Putin, good. There's no way he's smart enough or able to like not boast about how good he is at ratting people out that he'd be able to pull that off.
Right. He'd be like, yeah, you should believe these. You wouldn't believe the secrets I gave to the Russians. The biggest, the strongest secrets. Like
I'm just talking about like the whole like he's getting like he's working for the FBI. I don't buy it for that reason. But I also like that also is a reason to be like maybe he didn't sell stuff to Putin because he would be bragging about it. But I don't know, man. I mean the Putin thing.
Yeah.
It's like the picture you're talking about with Lavrov and
yes,
and the Kislyak.
Yes,
just yucking it up in the Oval Office, and he let spill some like top secret stuff that Israel had told him. He just told the Russians that, and Israel's like, oh, we can't tell him anything anymore.
Yes, which is good. I mean that people
like,
learn
there's an
that.
actual thing that happened.
That is an absolute actual thing that happened, and especially watching this whole spycraft show with all of the Cold War spying situations that go on, it's fascinating. I remember as a kid watching some of these on like Nova or something and showing how the Russians would just created all of these crazy what are those machines that are Rube Goldberg type of devices that are built into walls and built into piping that spy on you, like laser, like shoe microphones that have no moving or electric parts that still transmit like the dialogue. It's incredible. Check it out. It's on Netflix. Elliot says, all I have to say is this: your boy got diamond hands. Yeah, hold on to that Dogecoin, Ricky Elliott. Don't drop it. Don't drop that Dogecoin. Yeah. AMC, I invested in, well, I was talking about that earlier. I was saying how, invest in the things that you like. I knew that last summer AMC was suffering, and AMC is a movie theater chain that I like to go to. And I was like, well, they're suffering right now, and this will end the COVID situation, and I would like to go back to movies, so I'm going to give them a little bit of money so I can, feel like I'm paying into something that I get value out of. But it was nice to see it go up and then drop back down to like $7. And by nice, I mean not nice. Ricky Elliott, what do you got money on? Who's investing in the stock market? Who's switching over to Parler? Apparently Parler is a new trading app like Robinhood, except they publicly stated that they are against the throttling of trades and stuff. You getting those AMC tendies too? Good on you. And yeah, got to get the curly fries. The one thing about AMC theaters is when I would go sit down in the movie theaters, it would be like 9:30 in the a.m. on a Friday morning, and I'd buy a ticket for a movie because I was doing the movie reviews for every week for a while, and it was like $6.89 for a movie ticket. So I'd buy it on the way to the theater on my app. Do not text and drive. But I'd go sit down, and then I'd sit down, and literally there'd be 30 minutes almost of previews. Which, after the 7th preview, I'm out. I can't do it anymore. Actually, after the 3rd preview, I'm done. You see so many Parler ads, Pegster? I mean, like, just think about the trailers, the movie trailers at the theater. Are you still paying attention after the 5th one? Do you care anymore? I'm just telling you, AMC, this is AMC. I'm just giving you a little hint here. You're cheating your customers, your trailer customers, because nobody cares after the 5th one.
What's the company that bought out Waringberg? Marco. No, not Marco.
Polo.
Starts with an M, though.
That bought out what? AMC?
The Waringberg theaters. Waringberg theaters. Maybe I don't know. Waringberg is bigger than the Midwest.
What was that? Did you say bird feeders?
Waringberg.
I don't think we have those here.
Oh, whatever the name of the chain is now, I can't think of it now. It starts with an M. But before every movie, the owner of the company that bought them out has like a 3 to 5 minute like monologue where he talks to the audience about his business and why he loves movies, and it's the most cringe-worthy thing you can imagine.
That's amazing. That reminds me.
So throw that on top of your trailers. I gotta think of the name of the theaters. I'll put a link in the Discord when I remember and I find one of the videos so you can see what we get to endure over here.
Oh, good golly! That's interminable. That reminds me of like when you're watching the Grammys and there's like one stellar musical performance after another, and then suddenly this old like gray-haired guy walks out and talks for 10 minutes. You're like, what's going on? How come? Where's Shakira? It's her birthday. What's going on? How come I don't see Madonna? It's been 3 minutes. And there's like an old guy going, the Academy. He's just full of charisma, the CEO of the Academy. Hey, Pegster says, yeah, let me get a popcorn and a soda. That'll be $100. I sneak in my own snacks. Yes, what is your favorite way to sneak in your own snacks, and what are your favorite snacks to sneak in? Try to say that 40 times fast. I like to, for you, I prefer to go to CVS or like a supermarket and get the deal. You get the deal on the Junior Mints. Speaking of AMC, you get a deal. Like I'll get Junior Mints, I'll get peanut butter M&Ms, and don't kill me. Don't call me crazy, but I like Whoppers. Snow Caps. Pegster over here is into the Snow Caps. What about y'all? We're talking candy now. This is a discussion that everybody can enjoy.
Standalone or in combination with something else?
Well, I got a buddy David, and what he does. Now this is interesting because I go to the movies. I go to a lot of movies with my friend David when he was living here, but he moved away. David, you got to move back so we can go to movies. We would get candy, and then we just dump all the candy in the popcorn bucket on top of the popcorn. That's the move. So in combination or standalone, I say it's your world.
If you're doing that, Raisinets with popcorn is a good combo.
Now you choose the raisinette over the goober. Is that right?
Yes.
Hold up. The raisinette is such an old school, bold choice. I love it. That's the best. That's a great choice.
It is a good choice. It is a good choice. Wait now let's get specific.
I don't think children today, teenagers today, like even know what raisinets are.
Probably
They're just
not.
like, oh, it's like the way we look at like Good and Plenty's.
Oh my God, Good and Plenty's or Mike and Ike's, according to Ricky the Elliot.
I like Mike and Ike's. No, what's the ones like the licorice, like they're white and pink and candy coated?
Oh, the snow caps. Right? No, wait.
Yeah.
Oh, those are chocolate chips with.
The point is, it's stuff that you would see and be like, I'm not buying it.
Right.
My parents like that. My parents thought that was good candy, but that's trash. I think that's how kids today get Raisinets, and I think it's unfortunate because Raisinets are glorious.
Yeah.
Really? Well, raisins get a bad rap because of oatmeal raisin cookies and all the hate they get over chocolate chip cookies.
I don't understand that. Oatmeal raisin cookies are delicious. I understand why people prefer
Exactly.
chocolate chip, but everyone settle down. Oatmeal raisin is great.
Listen,
is.
I do not like oatmeal raisin cookies. I think they're overrated. I think they're I think I'm chewing on them for 10 minutes because of the oatmeal part. The raisins, who thought that was a good idea to put in a candy treat? I do like the Raisinets though. I also like the white chocolate Raisinets. Do you like those?
Dark chocolate. Dark chocolate are the best. That's all I'm going to say.
That's fair.
If you haven't had them, find them. Perfection.
That's fair.
Mix them with dark chocolate covered almonds, and you are in heaven.
That's like a trail mix right there. That's actually delightful sounding. Pegster says AMC pretzel bites, they hit different. Snow caps are her pursuit, or in her purse. She sneaks those in. Swedish fish, that is a classic right there. Swedish fish. I have to alternate though. I can't just go. Like I have to eat the Swedish fish first, and then pick them out of my teeth for the midpoint of the movie, and then go on to the chocolate candies.
I gotta say, the older I get, the more I worry about what's in my teeth.
Yeah.
But I was having said that, my go-to area, you know this, is Twizzler Cherry Bites.
I know this.
Even though I know, again, not a widely popular choice among the masses, but I will tell you that Twizzler Cherry Bites, I could eat an entire bag of them.
I've seen this. I could vouch for that statement. I've seen it happen, which is funny because Ollie and I have gone to a lot of movies together, and I'll get, I don't know what I usually get, but probably like some kind of goober situation. On account of being a goober, according to Jen, I wear that title proudly. But so I'll give you like 3 of my goobers, and then I'll take like 3 of your cherry bites, and I think we're both content to finish our own bag of candy after that, which is always fun. It's fun going to the movies with you, Ollie.
I miss it.
Yeah, it's been a minute. We saw Rogue One. What was the last movie we saw together when I was visiting you in Michigan?
We did see Rogue One, and we were at the bar and the brewery, and the guy said, "Dude, best since Empire," and you'd already seen it, and I hadn't, and you were like, "Yeah, man," and and you told me afterwards, you're like, "I didn't want to say anything,
Right?
Because you didn't want to throw me off like my like excitement."
Yes.
Because I was like medium excited for that, but then I remember we watched it, and the lights came on. I looked over, I went, "Eh." And I think you said you had the same reaction the first time. And I was like, that definitely was not the best thing since Empire. I mean, it wasn't. It was definitely better than the prequels.
Right.
And it's grown on me. I've seen it, I think, twice and a half or something. It's definitely grown on me the second time. But everyone settled down. I think that might have been the last movie we saw. Did we see a movie when I came out to LA to see Tool?
No, you were here for like 36 hours. It was kind of like
That's true.
you landed, we ate dinner, we went. Wait, did we see Tool that night or the next night? The next night.
No, it was the next night. I got in late that night. Yeah, no, that was a rapid fire trip.
Yeah, that was super. But it was super fun. We got all of the fun in like 36 hours. It was great.
We really crammed it in there.
Will is also a music fan and a musician, so that's maybe a discussion for a whole other themed show.
Yeah, those
Heck
things
yeah.
are indeed true. I'm also not much of a fan of Rogue One either, so we're all on the same
There we go.
accord.
See,
Nobody-
we're all buddies. We're all buddies.
Listen, we're in the full throttle silo here.
Pretty much. It wasn't what I thought it was going to be, but at the same time, it was a Star Wars movie. The things that it did were very Star Wars, which was contrary to what I was sold.
Yeah.
So, like, the comparison to the Dirty Dozen is sort of appropriate, but not really.
We got the Ricky Elliott here threatening to start talking about Star Wars because he knows how to get into it. Ricky Elliott, he's all about it, and he says, "Speak on it, Will." Tell it.
We can relate it to the market situation. So, the way I heard the Wall Street Bets described it was it's troll investing,
Yeah.
and I would describe the characterization of the archetypes in Rogue One as Star Wars trolling.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the characters are the most typified version of the archetypes that we're familiar with. It's like, all right, so we need a roguish, attractive guy, the Han Solo type.
Mm-hmm.
Well, how roguish can we make him? And Cassian Andor is created.
Yep.
We need the strong, resilient female protagonist type that is detached from everyone else. And we get Jen.
Yeah.
And we need the sarcastic, irreverent robot or droid. We're talking Star Wars droid. And what do we get? I can't even remember its name, but we get Alan Tudyk. So, I mean, so if you look at every character, they're the most Star Wars-y version of that character.
Yep. Yeah.
At least for now.
Yeah, they
And it's
just
just like,
they're like they're
at a certain
derivative.
point.
Yeah.
And like for kids, it's like, oh yay, this is my first introduction to this kind of character, maybe, depending on how young you are. It works. But then for like the adult who sees that and it's like, wow, they just bastardized these things that I loved, but they're putting them in a scenario I didn't get to see. So I want to see this story played out, but it's with these facsimiles of characters that I did like. So it's like, it feels like the subtle violation. Like, we gave you what you wanted, but not the way you wanted it. It's like, it's a troll job. It's like, all right, you said you wanted this. Well, this is how you're going to get it. And you take it because this is all you're going to get. So,
Yeah.
Wall Street Bets, Disney Star Wars.
All very cynical. I mean, it's the exact same thing. Disney is betting. Like, they were like, we invested in this intellectual property, like, to bring it full circle to what you were saying earlier. We need to make our money back on this intellectual property. How do we... And sadly, I do feel, ultimately, the sequel trilogy is very cynical. It's just like, what do you need? What do you want? You want some of this? You want some of that? You don't want this? Do you want this? Do we want filmmakers to voice their own vision, or do we want to give the people what they want? It's just all over the place. Hey, Eva Gallo, welcome. We're just talking about stock market and stonk wars. Oh man.
Star Wars is like a Disney issued like savings bond. It's very steady. It's exciting.
Yes.
It's not exciting. It's gonna be there and just accrue interest.
Yeah.
And then the other stuff is more like for instance, the WandaVision is very like out there. I don't think you'd see Star Wars take a risk like that.
Mm-hmm.
At least like with the whole like through the time, the era, like the weird stuff. So that's more of like a regular stock issue that has more.
Yeah.
capital,
There's more of like a
value.
like a risk factor in that. Yeah, like you can always bet on Star Wars. You could be like, Star Wars, it's a stable property. It's always going to be.
You know, that was the original line in Passenger 57.
Yes.
And then Wesley Snipes is like, no, I got a better one.
Yeah. It's funny. I mentioned that line earlier in the show too. I forgot the joke, but if you guys want to check out that part, you can always rewatch the show from the beginning. This is a really awesome discussion that we're having. Eva Gala says, "Stonk stonk" is what that was supposed to be in my thumb. Yes, I got you. Eva. Yeah, we're talking about Star Wars. Fu Pammy. That's kind of a common theme here. We love Star Wars here. I mean, who doesn't? It's a stable.
Marvel is the NASDAQ.
Marvel is the NASDAQ. Yeah. But the thing about is a little less cynical, I think, about Marvel is that Kevin Feige is sort of the George Lucas, like the 70s George Lucas version, not the 90s George Lucas, but the guy who was like, I really want to make these a contiguous universe that feels that is quality and is just true to the characters.
Creative director.
Yeah.
Like if it was a show, it'd be the showrunner.
There's a vision.
Hey,
literally.
how about he's the Dave Filoni of Marvel?
Yes.
Because that's given, not to bash Lucas, but I mean, going back to my childhood, when I revisit Return of the Jedi, it doesn't hold up. So
I would have to concur with you there. I have recently watched it, and it's just a stark, these are so many puns. It's a stark difference between Empire and Jedi. Because when I got Disney Plus, I was like, yeah, I'm about to go down that Star Wars rabbit hole now that I could just click on it and watch every scene that I like from all of these movies and just jump around and watch. I tend to do that with Empire Strikes Back. I'll watch that movie straight through at least once a year. And when I got Disney Plus, I kind of just jumped to certain scenes and then would just not turn it off because it's a great movie. But yeah, Jedi juxtaposed against or superimposed on Empire is just, there's a stark difference there.
I gotta be honest. I got little ones, and their favorite is Attack of the Clones, which is extremely unfortunate. Great state.
Yeah.
They've only seen the PG ones,
Right.
not the PG-13 ones, so they haven't seen Revenge of the Sith and then the sequels.
Right.
And they're little-ish. So, but they like Return of the Jedi, and they like Attack of the Clones. I don't know why they like Attack of the Clones. But I will say, watching it with them, watching Return of the Jedi with them, I did view it with more affection than I did.
Right, yeah.
I would
You had to be in that headspace of.
Yeah, exactly. But that's okay though, because that was it for our generation. So that was like
Jedi.
It's okay that it's something else now.
Return of the Jedi was my favorite Star Wars movie growing up, and then I remember older folks being like, "That's terrible. It's got teddy bears in it. How can the teddy bears defeat the Empire?" And I'm like, I just like it. It's just good to me. In fairness to Episode 2, I think this is one of the only positive things I can draw from Episode 2 is that the Geonosis level in Battlefront was actually pretty fun.
I thought about that. I the last time I watched it with them, because it's not in heavy rotation here, well, until recently. I finally understood what they were going for with the plot, and it's like it could have been done, but the problem was that instead they basically tried to make a Battlefront game for that like showdown between the clones and the droids on Geonosis.
Yeah.
And it's just visual chaos.
Yes.
And like nothing of it registers emotionally, because again, it's clones against droids, right? Like, so I don't even remember what's happening, but it's supposed to be like the culmination of this, who's going to win out, who's pulling the strings kind of thing that they were trying to set up.
Right.
And there's just absolutely no payoff there, because you also just had you kind of just had before that, the Jedi versus Dooku, which was like, oh, this is the standoff. That's like at the core of the movie. But no, the actual plot is this other standoff, which is just lasers and nuts.
Yeah, it's super visual noise. I get so frustrated whenever people there's two thoughts here. That when they're in the arena and there's like a million Jedi just swinging laser swords, it's
I was
just
just going to talk about that.
it's just all visual chaos, like you said, Ollie. And like to me, it just makes it so less valuable. It makes it so less precious. When you have a moment between, let's go back to the OG. You got A New Hope, which was not called A New Hope until 2 years later. You've got Obi-Wan meeting Darth Vader, and there's a palpable history there. You're like, and it doesn't have to be this crazy wild fight, but you know that these guys got beef from long ago, and you feel it.
Yeah.
And it's very rare to have a lightsaber. It's not something that you just see a whole field of people swinging their lightsabers around. So I find that not good.
We're definitely in a silo because that's what I was going to bring up. If you go through the movies in episode 4, the most Jedis you have on the screen, well, current or past Jedis, is 2. And that stays consistent throughout the movies until you get to Return of the Jedi. And then technically you can say, if you count Sith as a Force wielder, then the most you have in the same scene are 3. And when you get to the prequels, if we're talking about action scenes, it stays 3. The most you have is 3 in combat. You got Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon Jinn, and you got Maul. So 3. You see other ones, but they're inactive. They're just sitting there watching. And when you have your Jedi Council meetings, but then you go from 3 to the Backstreet Boys getting a cameo. It's Jedi.
That's right.
If anything just ruins it and devalues it, it's that it's the same thing happened with Anakin. He goes from this little child to this fully blown near adult adolescence. The jump in scope and scale is so jarring that none of the sentimentality that you would associate with Star Wars works anymore.
Right.
Return of the Jedi, the part of it that hit me so hard was the dynamic between Vader and Luke in the final, third of the film, which they slowly kind of built up. But, those scenes where they built it up were maybe a minute a piece every 30 minutes throughout the movie. But that was a continuation of the dark side and the light side dynamic that started with Obi-Wan and Vader in A New Hope. So that flowed. You got that sense of continuity and that connection because you had the same actors in all 3 movies. And you lose that when you go from episode 1 to episode 2 completely and totally. So for me, that's part of what hurt my perception of it, and it's like I wasn't watching the same series of films anymore.
Yeah, it lost the thread that a Jedi is a rare commodity. It is something of myth. It is something that we speak about. It is you're curious to find out more, but when you have literally I don't know how many, there's maybe a dozen or so just swinging there, it's just there's no I don't know the word. There's no preciousness to that. It's just visual noise. But one more thing I want to say is there is a channel on YouTube called Star Wars Theory, which I like. It's good. I appreciate the creator. However, he did raise $100,000 to create his own version of a Star Wars prequel that he wanted. He was like, this is my vision of a Star Wars prequel. And good on him for doing that, and good on him for creating it. But I watched the first, I guess it's episodic. They're like these 12-minute episodes. And it was like 10 minutes of Palpatine and Darth Vader just fighting. Like Darth Vader getting hit with Force lightning, and then him using his lightsaber. And then I was like, so there's no other story going on here. And I made a very snarky comment. I said exactly how a 12-year-old would see Star Wars. But but it's just because it's to me, Star Wars is like this the epic hero's journey. and it's about discovering oneself and all of this stuff. But to, I guess, a lot of people, they like the shiny laser swords and all the shiny stuff.
That's just like your opinion, man.
That's totally fair. I do have that. Let me see if I can find that.
The lightsaber marathon. With Force Lightning.
Just the the opinion from. Oh, here it is. I'm gonna pop that on right now for Ollie.
Yeah, well,
You're
that's
watching at
just
home.
like your opinion, man.
I am making a Photoshop for it. It's because of our conversation.
Perfect. I cannot wait to debut that Photoshop image on the show tomorrow. And this was a great discussion, Oliver and Will, and Ricky in the chats, and Fu Pammy, and Jen the Fierce, always there. Jen being the stalwart. Ron Pertee, a champion of the Aristotle Full Throttle Show, playing trivia. We're going to have trivia this Thursday. You guys have any suggestions on what type of trivia you want to play? I've
got one.
Yeah, what's up?
But I can't participate. You should do Transformers and G.I. Joe.
Oh, yes. Were those Mattel? What were those? Or those
Hasbro.
That's Hasbro, bro.
Hasbro.
Yes. Ooh, G.I. Joe.
Now the thing is that they're still in production. They're current continuities and comic books and whole different universes with the same core characters. So there's a lot of trivia to be mined that an older person would know nothing about. So I wouldn't stand a chance that whoever is the quiz master mine the new stuff.
Yes.
So
I will consider that. I will seriously consider that, because I feel like if there was like a larger universe, because I would probably know about like the 1980s. Not to date myself, but a lot of the Hasbro stuff from the 80s. I will think about that. That's a pretty well, maybe the movies too. Actually, Ollie, you know everything about the movies.
Well, before you besmirch my reputation, we're talking about the 1986 classic.
Yes,
or the Michael Bay Asters.
If we're talking 86, you gotta wrestle me over that championship belt.
Yeah.
I'd be happy. We should do a commentary or something.
We're gonna see who's got the touch, who's got the power. We'll see.
Technically speaking, Rodimus Prime had the touch because he caught the Autobot Matrix of Leadership when it fell to Optimus Prime's hand. But then he handed it to Ultra Magnus, and that's why the power of the Matrix was passed on to Hot Rod, who became Rodimus Prime, and not Ultra Magnus. He did not become a Prime.
Ooh, you know what?
So I beg to differ, because the song actually cued when Optimus Prime came down to Autobot City to slay the Decepticons in the Battle of Autobot City. That's the first appearance of the song in the film.
All I know is that Unicron is an anagram for unicorn. That's all I know.
I'm just being an ass.
You know what?
No,
this is inspiring me to pit the two of you against each other in Transformers. This might be fun to watch, actually. Will versus Oliver in Transformers trivia. Maybe this will be this Thursday if you guys are available. And
No, we should just come up with the questions. We can be like Alpha Trion. We'll fill the Prime Matrix of trivia questions for everyone else to suffer through.
That might just be the show for Thursday.
Everyone else will be having Alpha tryouts.
And on that note, thank you guys for joining me.
Jen approves.
Jen approves. If Jen approves, Jen, of course, being the admin master, the throttle master. Is that a thing? Let's make it a thing. Jen, the fierce, of course, always looking out. Thank you for that. Oliver Williams, the drummer extraordinaire. Will, the intellectual brain trust of Aristotle Full Throttle and musician. Thank you guys all for joining me. This is awesome. Oliver, I'm not besmirching your intellectual capacity. I'm just saying that Will seemed to have the upper hand in that one particular interaction.
No. besmirch that all you want. I'm just saying, don't besmirch my name by saying I like the Michael Bay ones.
Oh, that's fair. That's fair. I did like the first Transformers. I listen. I didn't fully hate the first one. Let's say that. I did get fully disappointed once. Here's the thing about the Michael Bay Transformers from 2008 or whatever it was, 2007, I guess. I was sitting in the theater going, yes, Transformers on the big screen. I can't wait to watch this. After I had sworn off Michael Bay movies, I was like, I will never watch another Michael Bay movie. I will never do it. I think he's terrible. And then I was like, but Transformers, though, that's enough of a draw to get me in that seat. And while I was sitting in that seat and I heard Optimus Prime's voice, Peter Cullen, the great Peter Cullen, I was like, this is amazing. I'm getting the chills. And then I started to listen to what he was saying. And then I was like, oh, damn it. Michael Bay, you got me. You
did it again.
You took my money,
There's
and now I'm trapped here for 2 hours.
somewhere on the internet. There's a supercut of every time Optimus Prime says, "I'll kill you" in those movies, and it's surprisingly long.
Well,
That's not acceptable.
drop that in the Discord because I want to watch that. So guys, go over to the Discord. We can keep on talking all night long, but I got to eat dinner at some point. So thank you so much for joining me. This has been such a great discussion about stonks, the stonk market. You guys are great. You're beautiful. You're fantastic. Yes, the Ricky Elliott. This is your tribe. This is a fun time. We make fun, but it's for fun. We're not trolls here, you know what I mean? No trolls allowed. So, I'm gonna get out of here then. Yeah, it's gender neutral. Yes, Fupami. We invite all genders, right, Grogu? So thank you guys. That is the most extended outro I could possibly do, and I'm gonna still do it. I'm gonna still keep going. How much longer can I do this for? I'm about to pass out. Let me drink some water. I'll see you guys tomorrow. This was great. You're beautiful. That's a musical cue. That means the song's over, the show's over. Good night. Have a good time. Get home safely. You don't have to go home.